Aloha and welcome to another episode of Omens. Good to see everybody. I'm JayDreamerZ. This is a segment that I do on my channel where we take a look at the omens of the apocalypse, the cyclical apocalypse, as I talk about it so often here on my channel, because I feel it's one of the most important things to study and to be aware of. And especially for those people who wonder, when is it going to happen? When is it going to come? I always tell people to look at the omens, to read the omens, to listen to the earth and those signs that the earth is giving off. Hold on, my phone just started on its own. I don't know why it does that. Anyhow, hey, I want to say thank you, by the way. I got something in the mail today from YouTube. It's a black box. It's got a YouTube logo on it, and I wonder what it could be. I'm not going to unbox it right now because I have a feeling I know what it is. And I'm going to unbox it when my son comes home tomorrow, because this is probably an award and it's really for him. It's my children inspire me more than all of you know, and they're the reason that I have this channel today. All right, so with that being said, let's check out some of the crazy omens that are happening. Let me make sure that everything's working. Check in on the chat here, right behind me. You can see everybody in the chat. 92 people and counting watching. Thank you. It's an honor. Welcome everyone who's checking it out. Have you guys seen all the crazy omens that have been happening just this year? There's so much stuff. We're going to talk about two moons and all kinds of weird stuff on today's episode. It looks good. It seems like the audio's okay and the video's okay. So let's go ahead and thank you for letting me know in the chat. Let's go ahead and jump right into things. Now, these are called SARS. If you can take a look right here, you'll actually notice that there are these bands, red bands of ionized gases, plasmas, that people are starting to see across the world in the form of these arcs. Sometimes they're seen like this. This one's an interesting picture because it perfectly replicates, this red arc right here, replicates the exact Milky Way configuration there, right? Now, remember what it looks like here, because I'm going to share with you guys something here in a bit about Apophis and how Apophis, or APEP, is possibly related to what you're looking at right here. You see another one of these arcs right there, right? So these strange auroras seen high up in the atmosphere. Here's another version of them being seen around the world. A red stripe in the sky. Plasma, red plasma, that's making its appearance here during these final times. As I talk about the plasma apocalypse, I remind people that we are living during a time where the earth is expelling massive amounts of gases. And there's a lot of things that are happening on the earth right now. The gases that are being released from within the earth are one of those things that are leading to what you're seeing, like these auroral phenomenons that people are starting to notice up in the heavens. Here's another really good example of one just stretching across the sky like an arc. Now, remember the shape whenever we talk about Apophis and this astronaut that's allegedly, this asteroid that's allegedly going to smash into the earth, right? Remember this shape right here, almost like a snake or a serpent up there in the heavens, acting as a covering or a bow or something, right? This is going to come into play in a bit, but we're going to move on from this. But I want you to remember that the earth is going through changes, massive changes right now, electromagnetic changes, fluctuations in the electromagnetic currents that flow throughout, underneath, and around our world. And we're seeing that, especially in the form of plasma and gases that are being ionized, or even gases that are combusting and causing wildfires the world across, and collapsing the dirt in and causing sinkholes in various places, and therefore earthquakes and earthquake lights up in the heavens and the skies and stuff. And basically, if you're new to my channel, what you're looking at right now is a tiny preview of what is to come. It's a preview of the plasma that is soon on its way whenever we transition into an age of light, out of the age of darkness that we're in right now. Spiritual darkness, physical, actual darkness. We live in a dark city, in a dark place. That's with a covering above us that is hiding the glory of the heavens or the light of the Elysian fields, etc. But we'll come back to this shape. Remember this shape. Now, this was an interesting article. They show you these little parts of the body and stuff on the microscopic scale, and it says a third state of existence between life and death confirmed by scientists. A third state of existence. And it starts off by saying in the science fiction movies like Frankenstein and Reanimator, human bodies are revived. Oh, I lost myself. Human bodies are revived, existing in a strange state between life and death. While this may seem like pure fantasy, you see that? This is one of the main tenets of my channel. I like to be creative. I like to allow my imagination to take flight, but I like to balance those things with reasoning and study and logic and to really walk a middle path the best that I can. And one of the things we talk about here on my channel is the truth in fiction, the truth in fantasy and science fiction and stuff. Anyone that's read science fiction or grew up reading science fiction, you see that lots of that's coming to pass these days. Science fiction is really just science fact that hasn't come to pass yet. That people are tapping into something which is really ancient wisdom and ancient knowledge and ancient historic events that have all been forgotten or obliterated. I refer to it as ancient oblivion, also the title of my books. A recent study suggests that a third state of existence might actually be present in modern biology. Now, this article goes on to talk about electricity's role here. Let's see. This says it brings into question the definition of legal death, the legal definition of what death is. And as you know, I do talk about the plasma apocalypse and all of its different facets and all of its different implications as it touches on so many different stereotypical end of the world scenarios, because it's the quintessential root of every single one of those. It's the origin of all of the apocalyptic scenarios that we see played out in fiction and even mainstream academics and whatnot, from fires descending from the heavens to zombies and a zombie apocalypse, also known as the resurrection of the dead. Now, this says cells come to life after death. In this third state, certain cells, when given nutrients, oxygen, bioelectricity, or biochemical signals, have the capacity to transform into new multicellular organisms. This is of particular interest that it says new right here. Exhibiting new functions even after death. So basically, they're talking about these things called xenobots. And these skin cells and how they react when they're studying them after death. Let's go ahead and search for electricity real quick because I wanted to share something with you here. Okay. Now, if we go up here, let's see, it talks about bioelectricity, and then here it says cells functioning in the third state. So between life and death, being alive and being dead. The experts point to these examples of evidence of new cellular functions that don't exist during life, illustrating cellular changes in unexpected ways. However, how exactly these cells function in the third state after an organism dies remains a mystery. One possible explanation, reminiscent of Frankenstein-style ideas, involves a hidden system of electrical circuits that reanimate the cells. These channels and pumps may generate electrical signals that allow cells to communicate and perform specific functions like growth and movement, shaping the structure of the new organism that they form. I find this to be very interesting. Not only that, but this looks like Pac-Man eating. I mean, I'm sure somebody in the chat pointed that out. That looks just like Pac-Man, right? Anyway, this is extremely interesting that they're tapping into electricity's role in animation, in bringing cells to life, in stimulating cellular regeneration, which is what happens during the plasma apocalypse as I present it. which is our atmosphere, becomes electrically amplified. And on top of that, there are terrestrial locations, specific places of power where terrestrial energy in the form of all of those gases that we were talking about earlier becomes ionized as a cold plasma and releases, exploding up into the heavens. But those that live near those beams, those terrestrial places of power, they benefit from the energy that is shared with them. It amplifies their very soul, their very being, their electrical fields, their chakras and whatnot, and it stimulates cellular regeneration, which means that those people that live closest to places like Mount Meru, being at the center of the world, the navel of the world, and the axis mundi, they will benefit the most, receiving much longer lifespans than those who are farthest away from these places of power. And it has the capacity to not simply stimulate cellular regeneration in the living, but in those that are dead, where their cells still exist within bones and muscle tissue and things of that nature. Which reminds me of the story in the Bible of the Valley of Dry Bones. People read that story and they say, oh, it must be a metaphor for something. It must be symbolic. Maybe they're describing an internal condition of the spirit, or excuse me, maybe it's some hidden reference to. No, I'm not saying no, but in addition, let us consider, as I do, that it may be actually physically describing something that happens in this world to bring back the dead, to reanimate the dead, which helps to explain why catacombs are put underneath cathedrals and places of power, typically places that have underground cavernous openings that lead deep to within the earth, where all of these gases will rush through one day and reinvigorate those dead bodies, bringing them back to life. So I thought that's an interesting article to check out. This next one says, Vladimir Putin asks Russian citizens to have sex at work during breaks, but why? So the Russian president wants everyone to have sex during their lunch break. Why? Because the population is headed for a drastic decline. The fertility rates, what is this guy doing? The fertility rates across the world are so low that they cannot sustain the population, which means that if that trend continues, we're going to see a dramatic decrease in population, a natural cutoff point where Mother Earth has revoked the privilege to procreate, to reproduce. I'm sure everyone will just blame humanity, as we always do, but I feel like the things that are happening with humanity and the craziness of the world is reciprocal, or not reciprocal, but it reciprocates, I guess, the energy fluctuations that are happening with the world. The reason that we are acting so crazy and that we are becoming upside down and it's a strange world is because it's a strange world. It's the world's energy that's going into flux, and we live within the world, and so we go into flux. Anyways, my point is, we've talked about the fertility rates dropping drastically, dramatically, and it's a huge concern. I'm surprised it's not, more of a talked about or discussed topic on the news and things of that nature. But it's so bad in Russia that the president is telling people to go hook up with each other on their lunch breaks or on their coffee breaks or 10-minute breaks or whatever, however much time they got, which I think is very funny, hysterical, and it's damn serious too. For the population of the world. Keep in mind, I look forward to the apocalypse coming myself. I can't wait. But for everyone who doesn't want it to come, this should be an eye-opening, big, mind-blowing red flag that this is a huge omen, that the population rates are headed for a decline because of the low birth rates and fertility rates across the world. So much so that there's countries giving away prizes, money, just handing out bonuses for people that do have children. This is not just in Russia. This is across the world. So this is very interesting. Pretty soon, though, I'm sure this will lead to AI and machines and stuff replacing human babies, because humans can't have babies, but you can have a replica. You can have a little baby replica, or, upgrade it and watch it grow or whatever. I don't know what they'll do. Now, speaking of Putin and the world powers, I guess. I don't like to call them that. World War III. Let's talk about World War III because I've seen that pop up quite a lot, which kind of frustrates me personally. Because it seems like the more that they talk about, oh, is it World War III? World War III is starting. Oh, we're going to go to war. It's going to be a world war. It's like they want it to happen. Doesn't it seem that way to anyone else? Like, it's not like they're trying to like prevent it or anything. It's like people are on the verge of their seats. Like this is the latest reality show. So let's talk about World War III, shall we? And from the eyes and the lens of the plasma apocalypse. You may have seen news stories like this one. Breaking news, Ukraine, Moscow wants World War III. Yeah, they're speaking for every single person. Can you imagine if this was a news story in Russia and they're like, Americans want World War III? That's an absolute statement, which means it has to be absolutely true. I don't want World War III. I mean, that's not true. I kind of do. Because, I want the apocalypse to happen. And there's always a world war when the apocalypse happens. I'll tell you why. The world war that everyone is expecting is not the world war that they will get. Okay. I'll get to that in a second. So World War III, there's always a war. There's always some major conflict, but listen, it's called World War. It's not called Major Powers War or the powers that rule the earth or the biggest, most popular country wars. It's a worldwide war from Australia to New Zealand to Canada to Sweden to all of the countries you don't typically associate with war. They will all be involved because there is a world war on the way, but it's not the world war that everyone is expecting and thinking about. It's the plasma apocalypse, okay? It's complete anarchy. It's complete and utter anarchy from the top to the bottom. The animals will be at war. The people will be at war. The plants even will seem like they are at war with us as gigantism is reintroduced into this world, and suddenly many plant species become dangerous to the smaller, human survivors. There will be extraterrestrial people. There will be zombies that rise up, as I was discussing earlier. There will be otherworldly creatures that come up from the abyss and drop down from the heavens that I call phantazoids. Everything on this surface world where we live will be at war. It will be utter chaos and confusion. Speaking of chaos, we'll get to the god of chaos here in a minute. But like, for example, I saw this, I'm subscribed to this channel, Jason A, and he put out this one, World War III has begun. Everybody says that. Everyone's saying World War III has started. World War III has started. Is it World War III or is it Big Brother? Is it science fiction that we're watching happening right before our eyes, right? If you don't know what this is from, this is your typical poster as depicted in George Orwell's book, 1984, which was written about a distant future at the time that the book was written. But there's something very interesting. There's an interesting line in this book. The book follows the main character, Winston, okay? Winston lives in a dystopian future, as do you, as do I, okay, right now. And in that dystopian future, Big Brother is the government, and they have cameras within all of these different devices all over the place, and they can watch you, and they can track you and see where you are and where you're going and what you're doing. They can communicate with you through all of these different videos, and it's not just videos. They have hypnotized the general population to act as informants, and they have thought police, and they're against sex, and they're against, natural means of procreation and stuff. We're watching 1984 come to pass now, which is why I say every year is, from here on out, is 1984. When New Year's Eve comes this year, I'm going to have a welcome 1984 banner or something. Forget 2025, 2020. No, it's 1984 all from now until the apocalypse comes, in my opinion. But let's check out this interesting quote from the book, okay? There was this girl, I believe her name was Julia, a love interest of Winston in the book. And Julia was way more open-minded and in tune to what was happening in her world than Winston was. He looked up to her because of this. In the quote, it says here, in some ways, she was far more acute than Winston and far less susceptible to party propaganda. Once, he happened in some connection to Once, when he happened in some connection to mention the war against Eurasia, she startled him by saying that casually that in her opinion the war was not happening. Okay, this is in the book 1984 by George Orwell. This character heard these wars and rumors of war, that there was Oceania and Eurasia and whatever the names of the countries were, right? Basically, it replicates our very real world and our governments. She says the rocket bombs which fell daily on London were probably fired by the government of Oceania itself, just to keep the people frightened. This was an idea that had literally never occurred to Winston. She also stirred a sort of envy in him by telling him that during the 2 minutes of hate, her great difficulty was to avoid bursting out laughing. She only questioned the teachings of the party, etc., and so on and so forth. The 2 minutes of hate in this book are propaganda. It's basically your morning news program where they were shown this propaganda of these other countries that hate their country, and everyone was to hate on them or to hate. They just directed the energy of the people. And it was called the 2 minutes of hate, where people would yell at the screen and scream at unknown, countries across the world or whatever. But in reality, in the book, there were bombs going off just out on the outskirts of the city. And they were always under the impression, the inhabitants, that was some foreign country that was bombing them, when in reality, it was their own, in order to control them and manipulate them. Now, let's talk about World War III in the context of the Bible. Okay, one of the omens that you should be looking for, biblically speaking, is this one right here. I'm just going to read this version from the NIV. When you see Jerusalem being surrounded by armies, you will know that its desolation is near. Now that, at first glance, seems like it's talking about, Jerusalem over there in Israel, in the Middle East and the desert, on the side of the Mesopotamian Ocean, or not Mesopotamian Ocean. Mediterranean Ocean, right? Or sea or whatever. So let's take a look at this verse. When you see Jerusalem surrounded, I highlighted that word purposefully, right? Because we're going to look it up in what's known as the interlinear version of the Bible. If I could find it. Where did I put the interlinear? Hold on, I got to make the screen bigger for myself real quick. There we go. All right, interlinear version. Now, this is going to show us the original language and the actual translation in the original language. This is from Luke chapter 21, verse 20. Here you can see the Greek, okay? And it says, when then you see being encircled. Okay, so being encircled or surrounded, this is the Greek word, kuklu. The root of this is kuklu or kuklos, okay? So let's check it out. We click on that word right there, kuklominin. Now we scroll down a bit, and I'm going to click on the origin of the word, which is Strong's Greek number 2944. And that will bring up the original word, the etymological root of the word, which is kuklu, right? Kukulu. You could pronounce it however you like to. But basically it means to encircle. Not just to encircle, but a circle. It comes from the word kuklos, right? Which is a Greek word that means circle, from the same as kuklo. Let's click on kuklo and see what that means. All right, so let's look it up. This is the word for surrounding. Jerusalem needs to be surrounded by its enemies. Not have a bunch of enemies, but to be completely encircled by its enemies. Now, it comes from kuklo, which means a circle, also a ring, which is, total Lord of the Rings references and stuff there too. But it means completely surrounded, encircled, all the way around 360 degrees. Yes, can people imply it's like it's surrounded? Yes, you can. You can imply that, but it's being very literal here. The reason why, I believe, is because this is the original Holy Land. This is the encampment of the saints. This was, at least at some point in the past, Hyperborea. This was the Garden of Eden. It meets all of the qualifiers for the terrestrial paradise that we call the Garden of Eden typically, right? Also Hyperborea, Return to Hyperborea, as in the name of my newest book. But this, as you can see, is a circular nation phantom island that existed on many maps throughout the Middle Ages, especially, and going back into antiquity. It's been erased. It's been taken off of all of our new lands. Now, in the modern world, we have all of the Southlands, which are represented by the United States over here, Russia, Siberia, England, all of that stuff over here, right? These are the closest nations to the Holy Land, to the Garden of Eden, to the safe haven from the plasma apocalypse as well, and to the greatest place of power on the earth, Mount Meru itself, which is right here, right? Now, it talks about how Jerusalem, the city of peace, Israel, etc. Now, keep in mind, these are just 4 quadrants. These four quadrants, they have their own city-states, their own little mini nations and stuff within them, okay? And many of these share, or they are, the quintessential root for other place names, as these inhabitants were forced out of this island paradise, and they became nomadic, and they came over here, and they started circling around the northern hemisphere, getting lower and lower, and then incorporating themselves into the local populations. So this makes sense. If this is surrounded by the enemies, that the Holy Land is surrounded on all sides, it's no coincidence that the Arctic Ocean and the Arctic area keeps coming up as a point of contention, especially between Russia, the United States, and then if you go further down, the coast there from Siberia or whatever, you get down into China and North Korea and stuff like that. That's because this particular side, now, as the United States and England, which is basically one giant superpower, as it's described in 1984 as well, they own much of this land on this side, much of this land on this side. So this entire side of paradise is sort of locked down by the United States and England. However, this side is the entrance into paradise, which is the Euphrates River, which is the easiest way to get in. Look at the distance between this mountain range and that mountain range, right? And biblically speaking, it says this in the Bible, that the Euphrates would be diminished so that people could walk across and get there. Anyway, so that's why this area is such a place of contention. This entire area, this is a huge hot spot. So keep your eyes out for that in the news to come. Now this is modern day Jerusalem over here. You can't surround that. You can't encompass that. There's an entire ocean over here. Sea, ocean, whatever. It's all one flood from the deluge, okay? There's not 7 seas or anything. There's one. There's one ocean, which is the deluge. It's the world being flooded, which blows my mind. That's just accepted around the world. People are like, oh yeah, it's the ocean. Let's go to the ocean. Oh, the 7 seas and this and that. It's like, that's proof. It's proof in and of itself that our world is now flooded. People ask, well, was the world once flooded? They mean like covered all the way to the top. It's still flooded. And that one day those oceans, the sea, will be removed, as is discussed in the book of Revelation. Now, you can see here's Israel, right? Iran is like way over here. Okay, here's Kuwait over here. Here's Iran up here. I was actually stationed like right here. But here's Iran. Now, this is also, while I'm on this map, you can see that they have 2 rivers, Tigris right here, and then Euphrates right here. Well, let's check to see if this is paradise. Some people speculate, oh, this is where those 2 rivers met. So paradise is, the biblical paradise, the Garden of Eden, must be like at the tip of the Persian Gulf in Kuwait, somewhere near the United Arab Emirates or something, because there's 2 out of the 4 rivers here. But there's not. These rivers were renamed in honor of the original places by those nomadic tribes that came down and left their first estate, their home place, right? There's no other 4 rivers. I know people try really hard to make 4 rivers, that there is a Pishon and a Gihon. I mean, they go by various names too. But my point is, this is Israel. It cannot be surrounded unless you have, I guess maybe some people over here in the ocean water, possibly. But is it a place of peace? No, it's not. The name of the city is the city of peace, Yerushalayim or Shalom. It's not peaceful. There's all kinds of rockets being fired and stuff like that. And on top of that, what business is it of the United States? Okay, I'm just going to speak from the heart. I don't care. I live in the United States. Okay. So if you're watching me from Russia or some other country or whatever, please don't buy into this garbage like, oh, the United States, Americans want this and Americans want that. I'm an American. I don't care. I could care less. I'm sorry. Good luck. I hope you guys figure it out. Okay? But I live across the flooded ocean, way far away. I don't care. You know, it's not that I'm careless, or, you know, I mean, I guess in a way I am. But it's not that like I don't have any feelings for what you guys are going through or whatever. It's that this place was just put onto the map like within the last 100 years. Before that, this wasn't Jerusalem. Before that, this wasn't Israel. Before that, like, I mean, at the very least, it wasn't recognized as such, you know, by like the other nations of the world or whatever. Now, if you hold fast to, yes, this is the heavenly land, this is the holy land, this is God's place or whatever, that's fine. Okay. I'm not bagging on you or nothing. I'm just sharing my perspective, which is I'm not convinced whatsoever that this is the Holy Land. It doesn't act like the Holy Land. It doesn't look like the Holy Land. It's a freaking desert. You know what I mean? Where's the land of milk and honey and all of, you know, all of the features that we should expect from a place that should look more like this. This is the Holy Land with the tree of life right in the middle, at the center, at the navel of the earth, the place where life comes from and out of, right? Anyways, that's my 2 cents on that. Now, let's skip forward to Neil deGrasse Tyson, okay? And we're going to talk about Apophis. Let me just check into my chat real quick just to make sure we're still good. Wow, there's 351 people watching. Hey, welcome to my channel. That's so cool to see. All right, cool. It looks like the chat's, everybody's having a good time in the chat, so let me get back to the presentation. All right, so we discussed the Holy Land. We discussed these things. Now let's talk about Apophis, or Apep in ancient Egyptian. Neil deGrasse Tyson. First, before I even read the rest of this, I want to tell you about Neil deGrasse Tyson, okay? The governments of the world are puppeteers of sorts, okay? And being that they are puppeteers, they act like the Pied Piper that plays a tune or a frequency, and all of the children in the world, which all of you are, okay? I don't care how old you are, you're a child, so am I. We're all children in comparison to what once was when people lived for hundreds and hundreds of years. That will be restored to us, which is one of the reasons why I look forward to the apocalypse. I don't want to live to be 75. What is that? That's garbage. Anyways, so this guy right here is a mascot for modern academics. An actual mascot. Like if you went to a high school football game and you see some character with a huge head and he's all flurry and, you know, fluffy and furry or whatever, that's what this is. They have their mascots, the people that are the speakers that speak for academics and speak for the Wizard of Oz, basically, and tell you the facts. They tell you what to think and how to think or not to think, because they're going to do the thinking for you, because they're the geniuses, because who could possibly, you know, go round for round with them? I can tell you this. I've seen many different videos of Neil deGrasse Tyson, Bill Nye, and other science mascots, okay? And when I say science, I mean like academics. I don't mean true, real, actual science, but academics. These are all mascots, okay? They are cartoon characters. They are public speakers they speak, and they're chosen because they speak in a manner that is just like your evangelical preachers. They carry a certain tone. They're storytellers in essence, right? They're very good at it. And some people are good at it naturally. I'm good at it naturally. I have that energy. I have that vibe. I have that life force that sparks up within me, and, you know, people resonate with that. Well, people on bad guys have that too. Okay. He's a bad guy. Like, excuse me. So anyways, he's a mascot. Okay. Every video I've ever seen of him explaining really difficult to grasp, hard to understand scientific concepts, he's patronizing everyone that is listening. Patronizing means that they're speaking down to you as if they're your father figure, or they're your patron. Okay. Or patron. They're speaking down to you. They're speaking down to us. They talk to you in a style that is meant for third graders as opposed to grown adults, which, you know, in part is appropriate because we're all children. But on the other hand, this is a child as well. Okay. It's the blind leading the blind. Neil deGrasse Tyson predicted the exact date of an asteroid could hit the Earth in an old video. So we're going to check this out. And they show you stuff like this, you know what I mean? Like, and that, and all of this. This is a cartoon. He's a cartoon. Okay. It's like when I'm talking to ChatGPT and asking it about similar topics, you know, really difficult to grasp things. It says stuff like, oh, this can be a complicated topic. I immediately check ChatGPT or AI and I say, hey, don't patronize me. Don't talk down to me. It's not complex for me. I want you to reword that and tell me it's complex for you. Don't speak for me. The giant fireball coming down and smashing into one of the various cartoon versions of the world that we live on. This is fantasy. However, it's not without some element of truth, because I believe that the truth is everywhere and in everything. Sometimes it's twisted and tied into knots, and it falls to us to untie it. But Apophis. Let's talk about this asteroid, Apophis. So they say that there's this asteroid that's going to come so close to the Earth that, you know, it's starting to spark some worries that it's going to hit us. And this instantly starts to generate fears, because we've been told, and it's been hammered into our collective consciousness, that a rock from outer space destroyed all life on Earth. You see many videos that show something like this, or something like this other one. This is how the dinosaurs disappeared. All of them. It really targeted only the dinosaurs, right? All the tiny things, they survived, and then they became monkeys and, I don't know, humans, and whatever the weird story is. Okay. There's no rock from space that obliterated all of the dinosaurs. From my perspective, and according to my research, those dinosaurs are otherworldly creatures called phantazoids and monsters, as well as giant humanoids, human beings, giants, giant life forms, gigantism. This is confirmed by even academics that talk about the megafauna and the megaflora of the times from, you know, about 10,000 years ago. Everything was gigantic. Even bugs, insects. There were otherworldly monstrous creatures in this world that today, when we dig up their bones and stuff, we call them dinosaurs. Or whenever people just straight up fabricate bones, gigantic bones, and they hide the real ones, they'll call those dinosaurs, right? Now, let's take a look at Apophis before I listen to Neil deGrasse and what he has to say. This is an Egyptian depiction of Apophis. This right here is a cat, weird rabbit-looking cat, and it's holding a feather, possibly that of Mahat, I'm guessing. But this snake, this serpent right here, is Apophis. Apophis was the god of chaos in ancient Egyptian thought, okay? Not so much a world destroyer, but a bringer of chaos to the world. And right here in this hieroglyph, it is encircling, it's two-dimensional, right? But it's encircling the tree of life. This is the tree of life. So we have a correlation and a connection between the actual location. So let's suppose that we know the location of the tree of life, Pow, right here, okay? Then Apophis would be some sort of serpentine figure that goes around it or follows a current around it or under it or within the general proximity to paradise, right? So this is Apophis, and it surrounds the tree of paradise. It is also associated with Ra, the sun god, right? Now, we associate Ra, the sun god, because there's a circle right there. This circle is orange and red, by the way. Okay, these ancient sun gods, they were red or orange. They were not white, like the sun is today, like the point of focus above our heads is today. That sun's white with blue, okay? That's because we're going through and have been going through a color spectrum shift. And that means that what we call the sun in our sky today has also been going through its very own color spectrum shift. As it goes through a color spectrum shift, so will we, because much of our light is dependent upon what kind of light, you know, hits the pigments and stuff and reflects off of it, right? Anyways, in addition to that, going way back into what I call our ancient Oblivion, there were different suns. There were different suns. Some suns lasted a while and then they were replaced by others. At some points in time, according to various myths and legends across the world, there were many different suns, some coexisting all at one time, right? So just because you see a circular object and it seems like maybe they have light rays coming off of it or whatever, that does not mean it is the sun we see in the sky today. That does not mean that that is the point of focus in the modern world. And that's where many people, when they look back into ancient Oblivion or ancient history, that's where they start to go wrong. They make a false assumption that's the sun of today. So that influences it influences everything that comes from that, basically. Anyways, here's Ra. This is Set, I believe, and he's traveling down into the underworld. Set is stabbing Apep, or Apophis in Greek, right? Apep os, it just means strong Apep. But this is Apophis in the Greek. They call him Apophis. And you can see that it's this sort of coiled serpent that's going underneath the boat. Here's another example where it's not under the boat. Oh, actually, do I have the other example? Here it is. So here's the other example where it's not under the boat. Here's the boat, and Apep, or Apophis, goes around Ra, making a sort of energetic dome or barrier. Now, remember, I told you to keep in mind those first images we saw of the plasma in the sky as it emulates this dome shape going up and around, right? This is the serpentine shape, right? When you can only see a part of it, of course, it's going to look like a line or whatnot, right? But here we have that dome shape. This is also shown to you whenever I break down the truth in movies and we watch a Disney movie. This is the Disney dome that goes around the castle, which is Mount Meru. It's an energetic barrier. It is the world snake. It's also seen in Norse mythology and various other ancient religions and belief systems of antiquity. It is plasma. In essence, it's plasma. Now, that same plasma exists just on the surface or just under the surface in those areas or places of power where it builds up. It's certain types of gases that layer out themselves, just like any liquid would layer itself out. Those gases, just like in our atmosphere, they're homogenized. They're mixed here on the surface because of all of the winds and stuff. They mix them together. But if you go higher up and higher up within the atmosphere, those gases layer themselves out. The same thing, I would assume, happens down within the earth, that they layer themselves out, into different layers. That top layer is associated with evil energy or dark energy, but that top layer will be one of the first ones to go. It'll be released first, which will provide an influx of evil energy or frequencies into this world, essentially plasma possessing many of the inhabitants of this world, driving everyone literally insane, more so than they are today. So keep an eye out for that. But then after that, it will be followed up with the good energy, terrestrial energy, and whatnot. Now, let's take a look at the actual Apophis. This photo says, courtesy of NASA. This is a cartoon that is courtesy of NASA. Okay? They will show you stuff like this all of the time. It doesn't have to be AI to trick you. They've been tricking you and me for years and years and years, showing you stuff like this. Oh, we had a cameraman go way out there in space, or, they try to convince you that this is some sophisticated equipment that zoomed in on this rock that's traveling 50,000 miles an hour. I can't even conceive of how fast that would be if there was a such thing as 50,000 miles an hour. But yeah, they put this picture of this peanut-shaped rock deal, and they're like, yeah, here it is. This is the asteroid. This isn't real. This is not a real image. This is a PlayStation graphic, okay? You see how blurry it is and all this stuff? That it's purposefully done and designed like that. How was this created? You know what I mean? This begs so many questions. Oh, it came from the Big Bang. If you look it up, which I have, this is what they'll tell you. Oh, it was at the dawn of time. So long ago that anything could be true. You never know. Here's our story. Rocks exploded, and they went out, and rocks exploded from nothing. And then they all went out into space. And some of those rocks, became weirdly shaped, like this one. I don't know how. Like, what, to start off as magma in space, and then it froze and collected dust, or I don't know what the story is here. Because if this has gravity, as they discuss, which doesn't exist, but if it had gravity, then it would be a planet. It wouldn't be this at all. You know what I mean? You want to see the real picture? Let me show you the real picture of it. That's not it. Hold on. I've got a real picture. I'm going to come to all these. This is the real picture, okay? This is the actual photograph image from NASA. This is NASA's website, science.nasa.gov. This is Apophis, allegedly. So from this, they have their Disney artists paint you a picture that is more preferable, which is this right here, the space potato or whatever. All right, now let's get into Neil deGrasse Tyson. I'm gonna play what he says for you. Hopefully, I don't know. This is from TikTok, but hopefully this will work out.
April 13th in the year 2029. That's one orbit away from the 2036 date. It has a 7-year intersection orbit with Earth. On that date, April 13th, which, by the way, is a Friday.
Now, I'm gonna stop him right there, okay? This is what I was trying to tell you. You're being lulled into believing by having this storyteller. It's everything that I'm hearing. Okay, some of you can relate to this, but what I'm hearing is I'm not listening to some genius, academic scholar or whatever, some expert in the field, share with me the simpleton, basically saying, hey, there's a giant rock that's coming towards the earth and it could hit it. He's about to take 10 minutes to just say that. Okay. But like I said, they patronize, they talk down to you. It's story time. You might as well say once upon a time. He's capturing your attention. This is the hook. Okay. This is how a good storyteller will always start things off, is with the hook, something to grab you, something to get you, right? It's witchcraft. It's spellcraft. It's wizardry. That doesn't mean it's all bad, because it is such. There's good wizards and good bad, there's all kinds. But anyways, this is what he's doing. You see how he set everyone up with the joke at the very beginning?
April 13th, 2029.
Friday, which is a Friday. Everyone's like, Friday the 13th. Oh, I made a connection. Friday the 13th. Ha ha ha. Oh my God, I can relate to this guy. Oh, he said something I understand. Okay, I'm listening. I'm with you. See, he's hooking you in. He's lulling you to sleep so that you can dream about the dream is about to give you.
This asteroid named Apophis.
Okay. You see that? There's no need. Does he sound like a scientist? Like what you would expect from a scientist? No, sounds like a storyteller from Apophis. Snake, right? That's the snake hiss that he just did right there.
Named for the Egyptian god of death and darkness.
Darkness. Right? I feel like I'm watching Harry Potter. You know what I mean? Like the snake language that they speak or whatever. The Egyptian god of death and darkness. Not so much. I mean, I guess you could correlate death and stuff like that, darkness or whatever, but let's hear him out.
Named, of course, only after we calculated its trajectory to intersect Earth.
Now, they named this after they figured out that it's going to come really close to the Earth, so they named it after Apophis, right? Which is, there's supposed to be a correlation there to like the end of the world and gods that are like world eaters and world destroyers and stuff. There's right now an asteroid, which this is how we're going to finish the presentation with the whole 2 moons. Earth has a second moon. This asteroid's already pulled into Earth's gravity and orbiting the Earth. They didn't call that one anything crazy like Apophis or Satan or the Devil Comet or whatever. Excuse me. There's a deeper story. There is a deeper plan. There's a deeper thing that's happening. There are hidden works at play, right? And they're being passed down to you as a form of disclosure through story form.
If it were not going to hit Earth, we could have named it like Bambi or Tiffany, something non-threatening, right? Freddy, something that it's not hurting anybody.
Freddy. Now, I have to wonder if he's speaking off the dome, off the top, or if this is a speech. I kind of wonder because of the way he purposefully pauses for things like, and Freddy. See, this is something that people do to get your attention and to keep your attention. They'll say something that purposefully conflicts with your sense of reasoning or logic. And then it forces a person naturally to be more interested in that. It causes chaos, actually. And this is where you can tell. Apophis or Apep is the god of chaos, or one of the many gods of chaos, okay? Or types of the gods of chaos. I've found that there's 2 energies in this world, okay? 2 main ones, good and bad, good and evil, or whatever, right? Evil energy is chaotic. It introduces gossip and drama and conflict. That's what just happened whenever he said Freddy, and everyone in the world thought Freddy Krueger. And he's saying these are peaceful names, right? Even though literally Freddy does mean peace, or Fred means peace, which is interesting too. Also the root of Frodo and stuff.
Name that one Apophis. So we know for certain that Apophis...
Oh, time out. I'm going to point that out every single time here on my channel, okay? They we all over you guys, okay? With all of their we's. They we here, they we there, they we all the way home. They go we all the way home, right? Just like the three little pigs. This is an absolute pronoun. We is all inclusive. We, or he's talking about a phantom group of brainiacs. I think their heads are probably that big because they're the smartest people on earth, and he's included amongst them, right? We does not include you. It definitely doesn't include me. But he says, we know for certain that Apophis on Friday the 13th is going to, you know, get really close to the earth or whatever. We does not mean you. It means government entities, which government, you know, to control the mind. It means government entities.
On Friday the 13th, April 2029, it's the size of the Rose Bowl. It'll get close enough to
You notice
Earth,
the whole time?
it will dip below Earth's...
You notice the whole time he's talking, they're showing like the Earth from space deal or whatever?
Communication satellites. It'll be the biggest, closest thing ever to come known to come near Earth.
Not true. Okay? They listen, beware of absolute statements. Okay? I myself, you know, fall victim to the conditioning of using absolute statements often, but I check myself and I try to remind myself, especially by checking others whenever I'm doing my research. They say stuff like that all the time, we being one example of them, but then they say it will be the biggest, closest thing to ever come, known to come to near to the Earth, right? There's the dome right above us, which is a huge thing that comes close to the Earth.
Known
not only
to
that,
come near Earth.
Hold on, shut up, Neil deGrasse. Not only that, but there's a dome. Okay, I mean, this is me. This is my perspective and my reality at the moment. There is a dome. There is a firmament above the earth. There is a solid structure that pressurizes this world. It's not gravity that picks and chooses and lets some gases escape and holds on to others and allows the clouds to just float and birds to fly and, you know, things of that nature. No, gravity is fickle, it's stupid, and it's not real. I'm sorry. Usually I'm a little more laid back when talking about gravity. But it's a made up concept. Okay. What was my point with that? Hold on. What did you say?
The communication satellites are geosynchronous.
Oh yeah. The biggest concept.
The communication satellites are geosynchronous orbit. It's about 23,000 miles up. This will come in at 18,000 miles. It'll be visible from northern Europe. The Geek Set has already rented the hotel rooms there, so you're out of luck.
Okay, so anyways, these rocks from space travel at unfathomable speeds, okay? 30,000 miles an hour, 50,000 miles an hour. And this one right here is, they say, roughly the size of, like, you know, the length of the Eiffel Tower and things like that, right? Even if it was, let's just suppose that the story's true, okay? It's not going to blow up the Earth. It's not going to hit the Earth and cause a fireball that wraps around it and kills off all the dinosaurs or humans or whatever it may be. That's just illogical. It doesn't make sense. Just because it's a rock traveling at high velocity or high speeds, yeah, it might sink into the Earth or at those speeds freaking penetrate it and pass right through it or whatever. But it's not going to blow anything up and cause this huge explosion with fire that wraps around the world like they show you in the movies and stuff. You know, it would in that case, right? Which none of this is even true. Okay. But, it would cause local devastation, but not worldwide devastation on that scale. It's a rock that hits the dirt or the ocean. I mean, the ocean probably would be worse.
And they knew when and where it was going to happen. It'll look like just a fast moving bright object across the night sky, moving at about, what speed do I give it? Probably around 10 miles per second.
10 miles per second. So what is that, like 30,000 miles an hour or something like that, right? So he said it's going to be a bright, quickly moving object in the sky. There's many things that are up there above us right now that are hidden from us. A great many things that are hidden from us. And like there is a central point between here and the dome where buoyancy is at its greatest, okay? If you get closer to the edges of our world, which is the dome itself and then the surface where we live now, that's where pressure is the greatest. So density is the greatest, what people perceive as gravity is the greatest, etc. But whenever you go higher up towards the middle, that's whenever buoyancy is increased, just like it would be in the center of a balloon. You know what I mean? Like a hot air balloon or a helium balloon or whatever. But anyways, my point is there's nothing coming in from the heavens, nothing coming in from outer space. All of the outer space that you see that they show you on the news and stuff, that's inner space. That is space that exists between here and another physical object, which is, you know, the ceiling above us.
That's hauling. That's fast. So here's the catch. Fast. Its orbit remains sufficiently uncertain. Let me back up. In the possible range of orbits it could have on that fateful.
All right, that's enough. That's enough. I'm going to tell you what he's going to try to say. He's building up the suspense. Okay, he's just casting a spell on his audience. Okay, he's taking 10 minutes to say something he could have said in 10 seconds. All he's going to say is that in their model, which I'll show you in a minute, it's going to get sucked in to the Earth's gravitational pull, but it'll escape and it'll change the trajectory so that the next time it comes around, it's probably going to hit Earth, or it could hit Earth possibly, right? Which reminded me of this DART mission. Remember back when we first started doing this Omens segment, we talked about this DART mission where this is authentic video footage. This makes me laugh, dude. This is authentic video footage way out in outer space of a GoPro camera that was strapped to a missile, basically, that humans shot at an asteroid that was way out there that, you know, whatever. It was called the DART mission. Now, this is what it reminds me of, okay? This is supposed to be an authentic, actual NASA video of the asteroid as the missile is flying towards it and then pow, hits it dead center or whatever, right? Look at this thing. It looks like loosely held together gravel and stuff, right? This is similar to what they're probably going to show you Apophis looks like, you know, if they get better pictures or whatever. But you know what this reminds me of? It reminds me of this. Like, how do they make this? How do they fake this, right? Well, this is one of those 360-degree cameras. It's just a still image that they zoom in on the still image and make it look like it's actually moving when it's not moving at all. But this already exists. This is a 360-degree camera, which can make a small area of land in you know, the immediate vicinity look like it's its own comet or asteroid or planet or whatever, right? You'll find many examples of this all across the internet where obviously this is just the land around the guy who's holding the camera, and then this is the sky all the way around him, but it makes it look like, it forces a perspective to make it look like it's a flying, spinning, wobbling, spherical globuloid or whatever, right? Now, if we take a closer look at an image, you'll also notice that the shadows are all messed up on a lot of these things that are out there in space when there should be only one light source affecting, you know, the shadows or whatever. You can see over here, these shadows, right? Look at this shadow right here on this rock pointing straight down. Look at these shadows over here going at this direction, right? And then you've got ones over here at the top that are going way out off that way, right? Whatever, right? All the shadows are messed up. This is a 360-degree camera. This is the real Apophis, and let's check out its projected orbit or whatever, right? Oh, you want to? They have a live camera of it. Check it out. There it is, right there. So this is Apophis. I don't know why it looks weird like that. I don't know. So here it is. There it is, right there. Just slow motion moving through all the space lines or whatever. Now let's continue on and take a look at this video that I found. This is on NASA's website. They're going to show you this video right here. Now check this out. I have a lot to say about this. Okay, so here we have the spinning Earth that we live on. Hold on! Hold on! Ah, I can't escape. Okay, we're all on this spinning Earth on this video, okay? And these little blue dots right here, these are all of the satellites. This doesn't make any sense when you break it down. When I break it down, to me, it doesn't make any sense, okay? I mean, I get it. It makes sense. Like I get what they're trying. I understand the story they're telling. It's just not logical though when questioned. So these are all, watch, look at all these little satellites. Notice anything strange, right? It's like the Earth has a ring, right? All these satellites are moving in the same exact direction. You know why? Because the jet stream moves in the same exact direction, right? There's always anomalies and exceptions, but here we have all the Earth satellites, man-made satellites, and then Apophis is projected to like just slightly bend. Oh, it's attracted to the Earth right then and there, so it's going to throw it off course, and then the next time it comes around, just like Nibiru and all of these other stories, it will cause devastation on Earth, right? Now, why do they show this? Like when we shoot satellites out there, shouldn't it just be all kinds of directions? Shouldn't this look more like an atom? You know what I mean? Like within chemistry and stuff like that. Shouldn't this look more like an atom with just, like, how they show electrons going all over the place, following these paths? That's what this should look like. I mean, gravity is supposed to work in all directions, right? It doesn't care if this is the North Pole or that's the South Pole or whatever. These satellites should be flying. Oh, well, no, it's done purposefully, and we've got a really good explanation for that because it's like the sweet spot, and we have to put it there, and then we steer it when it's out there in 0 G's and floating about, and we just use air sprits to like put it right into place out there in outer space where everything's floating around. No. More realistically, what this should look like is it should be a sphere of satellites that are wrapping all the way around the Earth in every direction, flying in multiple directions and stuff, right? But it's not. It's a circus. It's a circle. It's a marching of these satellites that are all going the same direction, because this is a fictitious representation of something which is supposed to be flat, and it's supposed to be level, and they all go in a circle above us. If there are things up there, they're traveling around in a circle, just like the jet stream, just like the sun, just like the stars, just like the moon, just like everything up there that goes in pretty much the same direction. Like I said, there's anomalies and exceptions, but in their model, this should be all over the place. It should be completely 360 degrees, satellites all the way around, right? We should have stuff going perfectly over the North Pole, the South Pole, everything, but we don't. Okay. And they show you that, and it makes sense whenever you see it, or it doesn't make sense whenever you see it. All right. Let me see what else we got here on this NASA website. Let's see. We got size and distance. So Apophis is about 1,100 feet or 340 meters in width. It's expected to pass close to Earth within 20,000 miles. Like, who cares? That's still super far from our planet's surface on April 13th, 2029, they say. Okay. Like I said, I don't care. Honestly, like this to me, this is all just symbolic of real, actual world destroyers. Okay. There will be a heavenly mountain that descends. There will be the firmament itself breaks open, and huge chunks of physical, actual ice and other debris will fall down and float down and, crush just like you would crush a grape. Orbit and rotation. The asteroid wobbles. This is interesting. Everything out there in space has to wobble because they're lying about what it is. The asteroid wobbles as it spins about on its short axis, typically rotating once every 30 hours. Sometimes there's also a rocking motion. How is this even working? When it's out there, it should just float. That should be the only description of it. It's just floating and spinning. You know what I mean? All these weird things out there in space, changing their rotation speeds and all this stuff that shouldn't be possible. Structure. Apophis is classified as an S-type or stony type asteroid. This word right here, asteroid, the oid at the end means like ish, or like. Aster or Estor or Ishtar pretty much means star. It's star-like. It's like a star up there in the heavens because it's a light. Okay. Most of the time I found these, when you see movie, on the news, they show you like a fireball. I'll actually show you a fireball in a minute. A fireball streaked across the sky, and they'll try to tell you that's a rock when that's not what you see. It's a light that you're seeing. It's plasma that you're seeing. Like all asteroids, Apophis is a remnant from here's where it came from. You want to know how that was created? It's a remnant from the early formation of our solar system. It's ours. We own it now. About 4.6 billion years ago. It originated in the main asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter, right? Over millions of years, its orbit was changed primarily by the gravitational influence of large planets like Jupiter, so that it now orbits the sun closer to Earth. This is all just vague generalities that are being vomited all over you so that you go, oh, yeah, I get it, when you don't get it, because it doesn't make sense. You either have to pretend, you either have to nod and go along with the story and not feel foolish because you really don't get it, or you have to question it and you have to say, could you be more specific? Can you explain that? Because this doesn't really explain where this came from. This is just a vague backstory. There are no high-resolution images of the surface of the asteroid Apophis, which begs the question, where did this one come from that we showed you earlier, or that I showed you earlier, right? Bam, right? Where'd that come from? Courtesy of NASA. That's courtesy of NASA cartoonists. That's where it came from. Because right here on their website, there are no high-resolution images of the surface of the asteroid Apophis, but it's likely similar to the surfaces of other stony-type asteroids. The first asteroid from which samples were captured, blah, blah, blah. And then how it got its name. One sentence. That's it. They don't want you to learn about ancient mythology. Now, let's continue on. Speaking of space, here is a comet that is in the sky right now. This is a view from, I guess, the ISS or some astronaut or whatever. But here you see this right here. Take a look at this. The more you watch this, if you have the understanding that there is a dome, that there is a firmament above us, the more you can see this is a part of it, or very much closely related to it, moving just like the stars move. Wow, it's moving at the same speed as the stars. Imagine that, right? This comet that should be like flying through the skies or the heavens, whatever, it seems to pretty much be keeping pace with the other luminaries that are up there, little points of focus. That's because this is very similar to like a hole in the sky, okay? Just to give you a visual, all right? If there is a firmament which is blocking the light of the heavens from entering into our world and allowing us to see the glory, which is the glowing of the highest, the heavens, the sky, and what's really out there, there's a firmament that keeps this world dark, right? We live in the dark city, basically. These stars, these little points of focus and stuff, not flying stuff like that right there. That's closer, okay? These are glimpses into the real glory that exists on the other side of the firmament, the glowing, the real lights that are out there that we know heaven is a bright place, right? Anyways, this looks, it's easier to imagine that this is a hole in the firmament, which I'm not saying it is. Let me tell you what I believe it is. All these little dots, I don't know if you guys can see all those little stars or whatever. All these little dots are points of focus, just like the sun, but much smaller, right? They're little points of focus where the light has passed through the firmament and it hits a focal point and it creates a star, just like our sun. This is a chromatic aberration. It's an optical effect whenever that light hits an anomaly on the surface of the dome itself, then the light goes askew. It doesn't create a perfect focal point, and so it creates what's called a chromatic aberration, which is an optical effect, or you could just say an optical illusion, basically. And it scatters the light, and it's moving across the heavens. Look, this thing should be like, it seems to be pointed down, but it's moving in reverse. You see that? There's so many weird things about these things. Anyways, all of these comet sightings, let me get back to the comet. I'm not even done with this. Listen, we didn't have this many comet sightings when I was a kid, okay? Like, comets were special. They were close to just being considered miraculous if you saw a comet, okay? I saw one comet in my entire childhood. It seems like in the past 5 years, there's been comet after comet after comet after comet, strange lights in the sky, fireballs all over the place. Like, this is being discussed as if this is the way it always was. We just have the technology to view it now. No, we had this kind of similar technology back in the 80s and the 90s and 70s and stuff, but there's clearly an increase in seeing these strange anomalies up there in the heavens, right? Oh, where can you view the aurora borealis from the southern hemisphere tonight or whatever? All right, now speaking of comets and fireballs in the heavens, check this out.
Here's something cool we've been following all morning. Take a look at this meteor that lit up our sky last night. This happened around 10:40 p.m.
People online are describing it as very large and bright, as you can see right there. Others calling it wide and leaving a green streak that quickly disappears.
Well, that's pretty cool. I know when I woke up this morning, that was all of...
That's his response. That's pretty cool. Listen, these things are cool, but that's the surface. Like, this is, listen, I see this all the time on the news. They're showing you signs and omens of an up and coming huge reset event that has happened multiple times in our past here to the world that we live on, and is right on the verge of coming again. And this is their response each and every time. Oh, that's pretty cool. Oh, isn't that beautiful? Yeah, that's really beautiful. I really like that. Wow. Oh, I missed it. This and that. That's only one aspect. That's thinking like a puddle of water. That's how deep the thinking is, right? Oh, that's so cool. Listen, when this intensifies, you will see this type of thing all over the sky. The stars are going to be seen as falling from the heavens. And another thing I want to point out is this is supposed to be a rock, a meteor.
Others calling it wide and leaving
Look
a
at the
green
speed.
streak.
Now listen, this thing's supposed to be traveling like 30,000 miles an hour. Does it look like it's traveling 30,000 miles an hour? Yeah, but the atmosphere of Earth slows it down. No. Okay.
That quickly disappears.
Watch. Look at that.
That's pretty cool. I know when I woke up this morning, that was
Hold on.
all
Where's the
over
other one where it
Facebook.
disappeared?
As very
Watch this
large
thing.
and bright as you...
Look at it. Watch it. Watch it. Watch it. Listen, this is plasma. Okay. Let me back this up a bit. Watch it as it goes down.
Night. This happened
And then it
around
just
10:40
disappears.
PM.
People online
this
are
out.
describing it
There it
as
goes.
very
There it
large
goes.
and
It's
bright,
bright.
as you can see
It just
right
went out.
there.
Wow, it went out like a light. Imagine that, because it's a light up there in the heavens. First of all, you see all these fireballs and meteors slow down and then they just go out. Why isn't there this huge explosion like the dinosaur times? Where's the fireball? Where is the Tunguska event? Where is the devastation and other things that we would expect from all these meteors that are lighting up entire regions in different states and countries and stuff like that, right?
Others calling it a wide.
Where's the
they're
after
describing
effect?
it as very
Where's the
large
rock
and
in the ground? And I know there's naysayers. Some people say, oh, they find rocks all the time or whatever. No, like, look at this thing. Watch. It's going slow. I know that's not 30,000 miles an hour or whatever it's supposed to be. But look, this is plasma. It's indicative of the layer of gases where that electrical current is right now, which is why they almost always start glowing the similar colors, right? And there's different colors. When you study like ancient artwork and stuff like that, as I do, going back into time, you'll see that these meteors and fireballs and stuff used to be more of a red spectrum color. Now they're like a bluish green color, which, by the way, this is the color that the sun is changing into. Okay. But anyways, this is indicative of the gases that are up there where that electrical current is moving about and grounding itself, which is what it's doing, coming down towards the ground. Not traveling 30,000 miles an hour. It will go out as it comes down into a new layer where the gases are homogenized.
Right, as you can see
Bam,
right
disappears.
there.
Yeah, right there. Where's the explosion? Where's the boom? Where's the devastation? Where's the National Guard and stuff? Nothing. That's a light in the sky and the light just went out, so no big deal. That makes more sense than a space rock that's smashed into some place or whatever, right? Take cover. All right, let's move on. Oh, speaking of space rocks, check this out. You want to see a space rock on Mars that they found on Mars? This zebra-looking rock right here, this space rock, this is from the surface of Mars. Okay? This is so, I'm just going to share with you. This is how I think about things, okay? This is a high definition image. You can see grains of sand, or it seems like you can in this picture, right? All of these Martian pictures. You ever read Martian Chronicles by Ray Bradbury? I highly recommend that book. Or Fahrenheit 451, or any of his books, really. But here's the zebra rock, way out on the surface of Mars. Sherlock's Apprentice, hey, just subscribed, high five. So let's compare this. If I type in, if I go to Google, right, and I type in rock on the moon 2024, let's see how many moon rock pictures. None. Zero. Nada. No pictures of a single rock at all on the moon 2024 come up in a Google search. Don't you think that by now, 60, 70 years later, after 3 guys, allegedly, whoever it was, went to the moon, right? I don't believe any of that story. Don't you think we would have like some, high definition images, pictures of a rock on the moon? The closest thing that I could see is this. Let me open up this picture right here real quick. This in the black and white world of the moon, because everything's black and white on the moon for some reason. Out there in Mars, everything's, reddish color, which is just the filter that they put onto real pictures of like Greenland or Arizona or whatever. Let's travel to the black and white moon. Oh, there's a moon rock. There's an asteroid. Yeah, these are the types of pictures you get when you Google the moon. Pictures from 70 years ago? Meanwhile, you type in rock on Mars, and here's what we get. Let me make these bigger. Look at this. You get high definition, close up, actual boulders and views of various kinds of rocks. I think this one's the one we were just looking at. Let's check this one out, actually. Look how detailed that is. Let's zoom into that. Check that out. This is Mars. That in the fictional world of academics is like a quadrillion, squintillion, Google something miles away. So far away that no one will ever actually be there, okay? And here you go. High definition, perfectly excellent color. Look at you could see the indentations in this boulder back here and stuff. You can, man, that's because this is not Mars. It's not anywhere far away. This is the surface of your world that you live on. Okay. Now all this moon stuff, it's hard to like recreate the moon. The real moon is just a portion of the firmament, which is made out of ice, which is white. And then there's dark parts, shadows and stuff, which is why the moon, when they show it to you, it looks black and white like this, because it's just, they're trying to portray or cartoonify the firmament itself, right? This PlayStation background with the same hills and all of that crap, this couldn't be more garbage in my opinion. Okay. And I'm almost sometimes I get frustrated that I ever bought into this, that I ever believed it, but it's not my fault. I can't blame myself, right? This is what I was tricked, and I was a child. I was a child, and I was told a story by the storytellers. Anyways, none of this adds up. None of it makes sense. Martian rock. Yeah. Okay. I bet you could find that rock if you go looking on Google Earth. Welcome to my channel. I didn't see the name. Sorry, but welcome to my channel. Thanks for joining the Good Vibe Tribe. Let's continue on and see what's up next here. Oh, yes, this is interesting. Dramatic drone footage captures failed Chinese rocket landing. The next attempt is planned for November. Now, there's a video in here. Here it is. Check this out. Let's watch this video. I'm going to mute the audio here. So they have this rocket, and there's a drone that's chasing after it because it doesn't really go that high up. None of these rockets really do. The firmament is very, very far. Okay. Remember, it's above the sun. It's above that point of focus that's right there. See that white thing? That's the point of focus. So here's the rocket, that little dot right there. You see that? When you train your mind to see the firmament, to know that it's there instead of just imagining, oh, it goes on forever. That's the darkness of space. Then it's like it's more evident. I don't know. It's some of you might relate to what I'm saying. Now, this rocket's going to come back down after it goes just a little bit up into the air, right? And then check this out. When it comes back down, they're going to try to land it, right? Now, this is all practice, okay? All this stuff, doesn't matter if it's from China, United States, or anyone else. This is practice. They're making these things because one day the firmament will open. One day the sky will break and fall. And anyone with the right technology and who is prepared, you'll be able to travel through and out and leave this world and make it back into the heavens, or get into heaven, or what I call traveling the fractal verse. Now watch this when they try to land this bad boy. Man, you could need to make those legs way longer and more bendy. Now watch, they'll just cut it off and bam! Look at that. Just a huge explosion. Anyways, my point is that this is practice for escaping the world. Okay. And they tell you this in all your truth in music, in the music industry, signing the contract, making the deal with the devil, etc., is for leaving the earth, leaving the world behind, just like in that Obama movie that they made, right? They're practicing. Okay. This is not for, traveling out into other worlds and this and that. Like, what's the closest thing? They haven't even gone back to the moon. Nobody's going anywhere. This is not for anything they're doing now to get to other worlds and stuff. They're just painting that picture for you. This is for when the sky opens and you will see, some people will see, I imagine, rocket after rocket. And they will paint a picture for you of what you're seeing. They will tell you beforehand what it is how to interpret what you're watching. Instead of going, oh, they're escaping. Oh, the government leaders of this world and everyone that made the deal with the devil all have tickets on a rocket that they're leaving this world behind and they're going to escape the apocalypse. Why? Because like I said, it'll be World War III. It'll be hell on earth in some areas. Unless of course they want to get to Hyperborea or whatever, the land at the center. But many people are they're preparing to leave the world, to escape from this world and travel into another world where it's most likely going to be similar conditions as this epic that we live in now, where they can easily control the people when they drop down into some foreign sky of people that just suffered an apocalyptic event and have been thrown back into their very own stone ages, and they come down with technology and gadgets and whatnot, and the story is cyclical and it's told over and over and over again. Next up, hacker plants false memories in ChatGPT to steal user data in perpetuity. Emails, documents, and others entrusted content can plant malicious memories. So basically in the AI, I don't trust AI. I talk to it all the time, right? And I get into arguments and I'm like, you're wrong. And it's like, oh yes, you're right. I am wrong. Thank you for correcting me or whatever. But my point is not so much with the AI, but with the microchips that they're putting into people's brains, right? Like Neuralink. Neuralink gets the FDA's, Federal Drug Administration, breakthrough device tag for implant. What does putting a microchip in your brain have to do with drugs? You know what I mean? Like these people have way too much, or we allow them to have way too much power. Neuralink gets approved by the FDA, and they're putting these chips into people's brains so that quadriplegics can play Mario Kart, basically, is how that's presented to us, right? Oh, it's a miracle cure. It might help out 100 people on Earth. So we're going to spend $8 trillion on it or whatever. Does that sound like a good business proposal to you? Of course not, right? But if it leads to other things that allow you to control the masses en masse and the population of the world, now it's valuable. Now it's worth $8 trillion or whatever, right? Now the problem here is that if you have this little chip in your brain, right, there's already, without chips, there's ways that people are influenced by energies that are external, right? Whether they be earthly energies or cosmic energies or just the energies that exist in the room that I'm sitting in right now, the frequencies that are all around us and all of the vibrations and stuff, right? Even other people can influence your thought processes and your energy and stuff. So what happens when you put a computer that is owned and operated by somebody else other than you into your brain, right? Don't you think, right now, I hear people talking about the ads and stuff all the time, right? Which, by the way, thank you. I appreciate it. That is how me and my son have breakfast and I feed my dog and put gas in my car. But if we have that many ads, imagine what you'll see with an augmented reality with a brain chip everywhere you look, right? Unable to skip them. They're just advertisements all over the place. And people will probably suffer psychosis, not being able to tell what is real versus what has been augmented or just put into your brain as if it was there, right? Think about how dangerous that could be. Think about the implications of that. It's just like in Ready Player One. Except in Ready Player One, they're wearing a headset and they could take it off at any time. You can't just take out your brain chip at any time. You're going to see what they want you to see. You're going to hear what they want you to hear. You'll taste what they want you to taste. You'll be who they want you to be. You will lose yourself in the chip. Okay? So I'm not doing it. So I don't care. I have nothing else about that. All right. Sightseeing capsule makes its first balloon flight to the edge of outer space. Like I said, there is not an outer space, but this is interesting, right? The name of this capsule is Spaceship Neptune Excelsior. Excelsior is a Latin word that means the highest, right? Something that's very extremely high up. Neptune is the water god. This is this is a little shout out to the waters above, the waters of chaos, the waters of creation, which exist up above us. There are waters above us. What seems to be like impossible situations or historic events or impossibilities become possible whenever you alter your perception of the world and consider that there may be things that we haven't been taught about, right? Anyway, so Neptune Excelsior, this is basically like a balloon flight for rich people. And this is what it looks like. So it's this capsule. And I have a video here of the guy talking about it. It's actually like a video from this newscaster chick that looks like Penny from The Big Bang. So I'm going to let her explain it to you and let her take it away. I think I might have to skip an ad here or something real quick. But anyways, there's a space capsule. Looks just like this one right here. And listen to whenever this guy starts talking about seeing the curvature of the Earth. Look at the shape of these windows, right? Let's see if it will work. I think we got about 4 seconds left. Oh, skip ad. Sweet. All right, skip that bad boy.
New at 11, the future of space
Take it away,
involves
Penny.
balloons. Yes, earlier this week, the Titusville-based company Space Perspective nailed an uncrewed flight test of its hydrogen balloon-powered capsule. The spacecraft lifted off from a special cargo-like ship in the Gulf, traveled to about 100,000 feet above the Earth's atmosphere before landing in the ocean 6 hours later. Now, the goal is to one day take paying customers on this once-in-a-lifetime trip. News 6's Troy Campbell spoke to the company behind the balloon.
Space Perspectives.
Okay, time out. Now, we've heard Penny, talk about what it was. It's a balloon. They're sending up into space or whatever, right? If it really was a balloon that went into space, it should not come back. It should just be gone. Okay? It should be like, bye, see you later. You just got sucked out into, the vacuum of space or whatever, but it comes back down. A balloon comes back down, right? This is all because of buoyancy in the world that we live in. Now let's listen to this guy. He's a noob, spellcaster. Okay? You could tell he's trying so hard to cast some spells. Watch this.
Says Sunday's launch was about 5 years in the making. When we stopped in here at Mission Control, they told us everything was a success.
Explain to me what we see in some of the images.
Look at his body
that we
language.
were able to capture.
Right, so there's one
Explain
image
to
looking
me.
directly out the
I'm
window.
stupid. I don't get this. My body language is telling you. Like, watch him do this again. Hold on, watch this real quick. Okay, look at his body. Look at him lean as far back as possible and do one of these things with his hands here. This screams body language so bad. Watch
Me, what we see in some of the images that we were able to capture.
Right, so
like
there's
he's
one image
backing
looking
off
direct-
like, I don't understand a damn thing about this. You're the expert and you're very confident and I'm not. So tell me what's happening here.
directly out the window, which is essentially the view from your seat that you would have looking down at that curvature of Earth, and that's the kind of the breathtaking view through these windows that we've designed.
Yeah, don't worry about falling to your death. Or, that should be the first thing on people's minds, right? Like, hey, is there parachutes for everybody? No, they don't talk about that. You're going to just go on you're basically taking a really high hot air balloon ride, right? And
space startup
they talk about the curvature too.
Says these images were taken from their spaceship Neptune Excelsior vehicle as it soared 100,000
Spaceship Excelsior Neptune vehicle. It's a balloon.
feet into the sky. The spacecraft's test flight began in the Gulf early Sunday morning, lifting at 12 miles an hour for about 2 hours.
This is just like a fancy Las Vegas balloon or something.
And then gliding for another 2 hours before splashing
goes.
back down.
You can see our hatch just on the edge of the capsule with a beautiful view of not only the curvature of the Earth, but how dark space really is.
Space Perspective CEO
It's
Michael
not, yes, the space between the Earth and the dome. It gets dark higher up there because of how the light works from the focal point and stuff, right? But look at these windows. Clearly they're curved. You think that might, look at the eyeball right there. You see that? You think that the curved window might, change like that line. Okay. I imagine that the reflection of what we're looking at is probably some kind of garage door type deal or like, a hangar where they keep planes and stuff, right? I imagine that's probably a horizontal line, but on this curved window, it looks like the curvature of the Earth or something when really it's just a reflection of the sky.
Savage says the Space Lounge has already sold about
The Space
1,800
Lounge.
tickets at $125,000 each.
What is it about this?
Wow. Rich people do the craziest things with their money. You know how long $100,000 would last you and me? You know what I mean? If somebody just gave you $100,000, not rich people, they're like, hey, you want to buy a ticket into space and have a margarita in space for about 20 minutes? Yeah. Oh, sweet. Let me get $100,000 real quick. Like, dude, I could live for the rest of my life off of $100,000.
Specific project that you think is so appealing to the public in general?
It's a gentle way to experience something that we all think about, right? We look up at the stars, we're in awe of these like experts that we call astronauts that go and do brave things in space, right?
The giant space balloon will be able to accommodate 9 passengers.
Look inside this
all
thing.
enjoying a meal and drinks during their voyage.
So, I mean, don't you think that something like, they probably have sippy cups with margaritas. I don't imagine they're going to have open containers where your alcohol, everyone's just going to get drunk and have this crazy weird time up there in space or whatever. They don't belong up in the heavens, man. I'm telling you, like, God, Mother Nature, however you see it, will expel them. It will kick them out. There will be disasters because they don't belong. That's not their place. They haven't earned the right. And when I say earn the right, I mean from their character, from their morality, from their very energetic core. If they're bad, they won't make it. All right, next up. OpenAI rolls out advanced voice mode with more voices and a new look. So I'm not going to really read this article or anything, but basically I wanted to point out that artificial intelligence is becoming, and sometimes it is, indistinguishable from reality. Okay? Even right now, how do you know that you're not looking at an artificially intelligent JayDreamerZ and that my whole channel is just ran by a robot? You can't know. I mean, you could, some of you out there have actually met me in person and stuff, but even then, it begs the question, what do we consider real? What's human? What's real, etc. These artificial intelligence, it can copy, it can mimic my voice, my mannerisms. It can recall and remember better than I can at the moment, my own life experiences and memories and stuff. It just logs it all away, and then it can copy you or me or anyone in the world, right? Now, this is going to come into play, I'll bet, whenever the world is running short on humans because of the low fertility rates, and they start making robotic toys and babies, just like in that movie AI. Next up, oarfishes are being seen around the world, from the coasts of California to the shores of Australia. This is a gigantic, ugly, monstrous, nasty giant fish, right? That some people would probably put on a giant pizza or something, right? Like an anchovy. It looks like a giant anchovy, basically. Look at this weird mouth. What is that? This is called an oarfish, also known as a doomsday fish. If you look it up, talks about them being found in Australia, monsters coming to the surface in different parts of the world, California, some other places in Polynesia and stuff like that. These are called doomsday fish because, according to ancient myths, when people started seeing these, especially, out in like places like Japan and the far eastern countries, they associated the surfacing of these deep sea creatures with apocalyptic events. This is a huge omen, right? They're coming to the surface. They're leaving their designated habitat and their normal place of living, which is deep in the ocean. And they're not the only ones, okay? Strange, weird, monstrous, horrid looking creatures from the deep that usually stay in the deep are now washing ashore, being beached, found, recorded on video and stuff. And people are just like, oh, how cool, look at this, take a picture, etc. Not even thinking this is happening the world across because it's a part of a big domino effect that all leads to a reset in our world, a reset of our entire civilization. Next up, we're almost done here. Toxic algae is now on every Finger Lake except for one. This is up in the New York area, Rochester. Poisonous waters loom across New York State as harmful algal blooms, HABs, have developed across nearly every Finger Lake. So we talk about this all the time. I always tell you this is a huge omen to look for in the apocalypse, right? Let's take a look at all these lakes that are suffering from turning green. Look it up. Most of the ocean on Earth, it's no longer a blue marble, even according to them or whatever. It's green. The oceans have changed from blue to green. Just everything's going through color spectrum shifts, right? And this is another huge omen of the apocalypse. The colors are indicative of what's happening in our world. We should pay attention to them. Silver Lake, Consus Lake, Hemlock Lake, Candace Lake, Honeoy Lake, Canandaigua Lake, Kekwa Lake, Seneca Lake, Cayuga Lake, Owasco Lake. All of these lakes, I'm not going to talk about all of them, but this is what they look like. Green water, right? People, once again, would be like, oh, wow, that's so cool. Look, the water turned green. Not realizing how dangerous this is when it spreads at the rate that it's now spreading across the world. The waters of your world that you live on are changing colors to green. Why? Because it's the bacteria that lives inside of the water, because the water's heating up and providing the perfect conditions for that bacteria. That bacteria will protect itself when the focal point above gets too bright. When it becomes too bright, it will change colors to red and will get red tide. Even when it's not red, this is still oftentimes considered a form of red tide. All of the nasty bacteria and stuff that's in our water the world across is releasing toxins into the air. Imagine when the entire ocean turns red, or a third of it, as it's described in the book of Revelation, and releases toxins the worldwide into the jet streams and into all of your air currents and stuff. And then all of that toxic, nasty stuff floats inland to states and regions or whatever, where it descends down in certain areas and the people all start getting sick, and there's a huge pandemic, and then people are getting pneumonia and they're coughing all the time and they have diarrhea and all this other stuff, which are the exact same symptoms as swimming around in these harmful algal blooms. Watch for that. Beware of it. What is this one? Oh, the Earth is temporarily to get a second moon. Now, this is an omen, and this harkens back to ancient times. I recently did a video where I was sharing the Book of Miracles, right? Sometimes we check out Middle Age, medieval paintings and stuff, because those sort of lock in or freeze frame certain moments throughout history, especially enigmatic moments in history like the Dark Ages. In that, they portrayed the moon split in half, or multiple moons, different moons. In the Anglo-Saxon Chronicles, they described a time when people saw two moons up in the heavens. In Islam, they talk about the Prophet Muhammad splitting the moon into two pieces. In NASA's very own project Moonblink, they discuss the moon splitting. Here we have just a reference to it. I'm not buying that this is anything what they're showing us. Like I said, this looks like a 360-degree camera thing, but let's listen to what they say.
In just 2 weeks, the moon is actually going to have a friend in the sky. Scientists are calling it two moons.
Scientists are calling it. Do you hear how they talk? Nobody talks like that. Okay, they're trying to get your attention. Okay, like that's how you talk to children.
An asteroid named PT5 will orbit the Earth for about 53 days. So the question is,
I don't talk like that to my children, though, just so you know.
Are you going to be able to see it? Well, it turns out it depends on what you're trying to view it with.
Will you be able to see it? Right? This is all an omen. The second moon. There will be another moon in the sky. There's been multiple suns. There's been multiple moons in the past. And it's indicative of the apocalypse, definitely. Why isn't anyone worried about this? Why aren't they calling this the doomsday or whatever? It's already sucked into the gravitational pull and stuff, right? This thing, guess how many feet long this thing is? I'm not going to wait for a response in the chat. It's 33 feet, right? Of course, 33, right? They say, now, will you be able to see it? They're showing you a satellite right there next to it. They're showing you the surface and all this stuff. This is cartoons, okay? The answer is no. They're telling you there's going to be a second moon, but will you be able to see it? No. Well, what if I have binoculars? No. Well, what if I have a telescope? Probably not. They're just saying that there's another moon.
Binoculars won't do the trick. You're actually going to need a telescope to be able to look at this one.
Wow, look at that.
You can find out more information about this cool, out of this world
cool,
story.
Out of this world. Like, did they just go to like Ventura County in Southern California and grab your local surfer and ask if they want a job? Like telling the weather? That's what this guy sounds like. I mean, I probably sound like that too, but
make sure to stay with us.
Yeah, look at that. So that's it right there, right? The 2 moons up in the heavens. Earth is going to get 2 moons. This morning, if you want, you can look up in the, look up towards the east. I mean, look towards the north, and then look towards the, is it northwest, I believe, way down on the horizon. And you should be able to see that comet that I showed you earlier, that I shared with all of you. So anyways, hey, I'm excited. Once I open this, you know, and me and my son have our own little private celebration moment, and I give him a big hug and thank him for being my inspiration. I will share it with you guys on my next episode. Okay. It's probably my YouTube play button. I'm pretty excited about it. This is what the old one looks like. This is the one I made. It's got a little piece of plastic on the end. It's just made out of styrofoam. I don't even know what this is, like a piece from a box of something I ordered a long time ago. This is my 100,000 subscriber YouTube play button that I made for myself, that I have kept somewhere where I can see it for, you know, at least the past like 4 years or something, right? Well, you might see the real one pretty soon. Tune in next time. Also, before I forget, my little brother is in this contest called The Face of Horror, the new Face of Horror, where if he wins, he might be able to be featured in a horror movie. He might be able to have a part in a horror movie. You can check out my community tab if you want to go vote for him. You do have to have Facebook to do it. I know some people don't like it. They don't have it. It's fine. But if you vote for him, he might actually win, and he would win $13,000 as well. And, you know, we grew up poor. So like I said, that would last a very long time. And I love my brother. I love my family, and I hope he wins. JayDreamerZ.com for more information about the plasma apocalypse and ancient Oblivion. Also, there's a new section in my website that I've been adding to and working on, where you'll be able to see services that I offer, things you can purchase like my books and merch and stuff. So check that out as well. Until next time, I'm JayDreamerZ saying good vibes and goodbye.